Welcome to this episode of Eureka. We are going to have a very wonderful, very illuminating conversation with Vaidya Manoj Nesari. He is a medical professional in Ayurvedic practice. Today, he is an advisor to Ayush Ministry, Government of India, and he is playing a very important role in harnessing traditional medical systems of India to fight COVID and also other diseases which are prevalent in this country. Sir, thank you, sir, for being in the show. It's a very wonderful opportunity. So let me start with this fundamental question that many people might have.
Thank you.
The rational basis for the traditional medicinal practices in the country. So if you look at, for example, the text, Charga Samhita.
Yeah.
If you look at there is a elaborate description of how a Vaidya should accept a drug and not accept a drug. It's not like just blindly accept something or take whatever that is being told. There are ideas like Aptopadesha, Pratyaksha, Anumana. Can you throw some light on what does these words mean? How is it ingrained in our text, etc.?
Sure. Before going to this Aptopadesh and the Pramanas, these are the methods of actually validation and examination. I would like to just mention in brief that what are the basic 4 components when we go for the management or treatment or rather promotion of the health of the society. And these the 4 the basic things are Vaidya, that is the physician. When we say physician, surgeon, everything is included into it. So that is the one. The second is Upasthata. Upasthata is the supporting staff. So whether he is a nurse, whether he is a mature, whether he is a compounder, a pharmacist, all they are under the umbrella of Upasthata. The third important thing is the Aushadha. So Aushadha is an important thing. And the fourth is, and the most important, the fourth one is the Rugna, or the person to whom we are going to treat. So it is equal participation of each component is very much required. And through the Rajya Sabha TV, I would like to emphasize on the 4th component, that is the participation of the community in maintaining their health. So this is very much required. Now coming to the point that you usually asked regarding the Pramanas. So Ayurveda has elaborately described the qualities of the physician, how the physician should be, what should be the training methodology, how actually he should keep upgrade himself regarding the research, and all those kind of things have been described. The same thing has been described regarding the Upasthata, that is the supporting staff, that how the supporting staff should be and how they should be actually examined. And the third is regarding the medicines, that how should be they examined. Now here I would like to mention that regarding the medicines, it is described that idam evam aushadam evam gunam evam nihitam evam upaskrutam, and there is a long description that when actually we develop a drug, so how the drug should be developed, and not only developed, how the drug, the quality should be maintained. Because you know that the all the Ayurvedic medicines, primarily they are of the herbal origin, and most of the herbs in those days, they were collected from the wild. Nowadays, we are going to the cultivated part also, but still largely they are from the wild. So we have to actually collect when they are in a proper season, they are there, because there is a specific season for the maturity. So if the flowers are there, then you have to collect in a particular season, because you won't get them throughout the year. So likewise, there is specific time for the collection for each flower, the bark, the leaves have been described, the maturity. Because as we know that the mango, when it is very small, it is astringent in taste. When it has become little more bigger, then it is sour in taste. When it ripe, it is sweet in taste. And when it is overripe, it loses taste. And depending upon these phases of the ripening of mango, there are changes in the phytochemicals which are there in the mango. And the same has been described in Ayurveda, that we have to actually assure that this is the right stage of the harvesting, and then you have to actually collect it rightly. So all these methods, what we say today, that is the good harvesting practices, good storage practices, good packaging practices, etc. So they have been described in elaborating Ayurveda. And for this everything, they have given the various methods and
Okay.
that how to do it. Now, when you refer to the text, so that
Mm-hmm.
text become your after. Like
Mm.
today, we refer to a journal that if suppose it
Yeah.
is published in a journal, say for example Lancet or maybe the BMJ or New England Medical Journal and so on and so forth. So then you consider that this because they have the high standard and yes, what actually have been published in the journal, so that is authentic. So that is what actually considered. So that journal becomes after. So similarly, these ancient texts they are also after, and at the same time the senior physicians, senior scientists, those who are there on the chairs and positions, and those who have done a lot of work, so they also are considered as the apta. And similarly for the students, their professor, teachers, they are the apta. So that
Yeah.
is apta. The second is Anumana. Anumana is you have to understand by inference, because
Mm-hmm.
not each and everything is possible to see by the eyes, or
Yeah.
it is not possible to actually get the feel of it either by the ears or by nose or by ears, whatever it is the extended technology you understand. So many things we actually understand by the inference. I would
Mm.
like to give an example that when we do the ultrasound sonography, so
Mm-hmm.
while doing the sonography, you get some kind of image, and when
Mm-hmm.
you see the image, say for example, if the black portion is there, so that means there is some fluid is there or something is there, so that is actually inference.
Yeah.
And when you find something which is white in color, so that means you consider that there is something solid is here,
Mm.
because that depends upon the how the waves they are reflected. So
Yes.
you see something in the image, but then while interpretation, you say something that it might be cancer, it might be something, this and that. So that
Mm.
is the inference. So that is called as the anuman.
Mm.
And the third is the pratyaksha. The pratyaksha is what actually you see.
Mm.
So whether it is with your bare eyes or whether it is with your senses, whether you apply the stethoscope or whether you apply something else, or whether you use some kind of diagnostic instruments, so all those things, so they are the pratyaksha. So these are the basic methods of examination, and further there is elaboration. So the basic thing is the Trivida, then Chaturvida is there, where the Upaman is also used, then the Panchavida and Shadvida and Dashavida. So Dashavida is the detailed examination, what you see in the research methodology, the detailed elaborate protocol and the clinical research format.
Mm.
So that is there in the Dashvidha Pariksha, where actually it is described that how the person should be examined, what is the body constitution, what is the mental constitution, what is the status of each of the tissues in the body, that is
Mm.
called as the Sarata, then what is the age, because there are many diseases which are related to the age, and so on and so forth. So all this actually has been described in elaborate in Ayurveda to make the total examination, whether the examination of a person, whether the examination of a disease, whether the examination of the science itself. It has been said that Shastra Pariksha, how the science should be
Yes.
examined.
Yeah.
So that has also been examined. The Vaidya Pariksha, the Shishya Pariksha. So all this has been actually said that how the student should be examined, whether he is of good quality or not, how a teacher should be examined, whether it is good quality. So all these have been mentioned, and these are the basic principles of the examination.
See, similarly, when one is talking about a drug development,
Yeah.
actually not just a drug, but a treatment development, Aushadha will be part of that.
Yes.
There are many ideas which have been propounded, like Tatvalingavad, Drishti Palavantvad, and so on, right? So,
Yeah.
can you just describe, for example, what is this Drishti Palavantvad?
I would like to mention that when the treatments and the drug development, that is one part, but at the same time, first of all, understanding the disease, that is the
So,
most important thing. Because unless and until you understand what the disease is,
mm,
say for example, the presently this epidemic of pandemic of COVID is going on. So
mm,
unless and until we understand the disease as a whole, it is not possible to develop a drug.
yeah.
So first of all, the understanding of the disease is very important.
Mm,
And to understand the disease, they have given in the ancient text the methodology, how to
mhm,
approach to a disease understanding. And while explaining so, it has been very well mentioned that Vikaro hi nama kushalo na jiriyat kadachana. That means there are number of diseases, so it is not possible to name each and every disease, but there are limitations to name it. So today we are coined this name as SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19. But 6 months back, this COVID-19 phrase was not there.
Yes.
So likewise, every time before that, this HIV is there, the AIDS is there, AIDS. So some 30, 40 years back, the AIDS was not there.
Yeah.
So every time, so new diseases, they will keep on coming. So Ayurveda has given the methodology to understand the disease process. And that disease process, the methodology is, first of all, you have to understand the dosha. The basic principle is that the dosha, they are the body energies, and these body energies, they have been defined and they have specific functions when they are in normal, and their abnormal functions, they have also been described, that how to understand whether these energies, they are exaggerated or whether they are in a low performance. So that is one thing. And the second set is the body tissues.
Okay.
And the body tissues, they have also a specific set of functions. So in Ayurveda, the maximum importance is given on the functionality rather than the anatomical structure. Because many times in the clinical practice, those who are clinicians, they can see that there could be gross deformity in the particular structure, say for example the knee joint, but the patient may not have pain. Whereas on the contrary, in some other people, there is no gross deformity, there is no change in the X-ray, but still the patient will have severe pain. So there is more importance to the functions of the tissue. It doesn't mean that the structure is not important. Structure is also important, but the more important is given to the functions. And that's why Ayurveda has described a concept called as Sharir. Sharir is the functional anatomy.
Okay.
So they have not distinguished between anatomy and physiology, two separate parts, but they are together.
Okay.
So the structure has to be proper. At the same time, it has to also have the proper function. So the function is more important. So this is the concept of Sharir, which is described in Ayurveda. And on the basis of this, the assessment of the tissues is done. So one is the dosha set, one is the dusha set. The third is what are the etiological factors which were responsible for that.
Okay.
Because that is also very important thing, that there are different, we say epigenetic factors, we say it is the viruses, the bacteria, these and that. So these are the various causative factors. So what are the causative factors? So on one hand, you have to understand the causative factor. The second hand, you have to understand the dosha status, and the third hand, you have to understand the status of the tissues. And once you understand all these things, then you can understand how the pathogenesis actually went on. And this pathogenesis is called as samprapti. So once you define that this is the samprapti, that is this is the pathogenesis, so then you now get the clear picture that how actually, what are the actually etiological factors, how they affected the various energies, how the energies they actually change their functions, and how it affected the different body tissues, and that led to the deformity. So once you understand this clear picture, then it is possible to design the management.
Okay, so that's how the step-by-step things come in.
Yes.
In the practice.
Correct. So it is not so simple.
Yeah, this is where we need to take a very short break.
Sure.
We'll continue this conversation. We'll take a very short break. Keep watching Eureka. After the break, we'll continue and also talk about some of the very interesting efforts that have been made by Ayush Ministry to tackle COVID. They are going to test 4 drugs. After the break, keep watching Eureka. Welcome back to Eureka. We are having a very wonderful, very enlightening conversation with Dr. Manoj Nesari. He is the advisor in the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. So before the break, we were talking about some of the evidence-based medicinal aspects of Ayurveda as an example of various Indian systems which are prevalent in this country. Maybe we should now talk about how in this pandemic, the Ayush Ministry is trying to harness the Ayurveda, particularly I'm told that you're going to launch a drug trial for 4 drugs, right?
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you tell us what are those drugs and what do you expect out of them?
Yes, absolutely. Before actually going to the drugs, in continuation to the principles of what actually have been described, so the
Mhm.
same principles we adopted, and for the first time in the world,
Uh-huh.
the government of India and the Ministry of Ayush, we focused on improving the general immunity of people to
Okay.
keep themselves safe from the COVID.
Uh-huh.
Because everybody know that even after this 4 5 months are there since the first case in the December,
Mhm.
there is no any established drug for the treatment of COVID, nor there is any vaccine to
Mhm.
prevent the COVID.
Yeah.
So in this status, we decided that the Vyadik Shamatva, that is
Mhm.
the immunity, and when we say the Vyadik Shamatva, it is a broad umbrella. I will explain you. So we decided that in a large scale, we will make efforts to improve the Vyadik Shamatva, that is the immunity of people, to keep themselves safe, to keep themselves protected from the COVID. So that was the basic approach for the first time in the world, I would say. That is actually contribution of India to the entire world.
Yeah.
Now, on this principle, we developed an advisory,
Mhm.
and the advisory is not only one drug, it is a package, because we know that the immunity depends upon many things. It depends upon your food, it depends upon your body status, it depends upon your sleep, and so many things.
Mhm.
So, the first part is basically the basic things for improving your health or keeping you healthy. That is good diet, the warm food, and the balanced food, and the sleep, and all those, and exercise. So these
Okay.
are the basic things which have been there mentioned, because these are very important.
Mhm.
And the second part is the actually intervention. And this
Mhm.
intervention is one decoction which is made up of tulsi, that is the holy basil, the cinnamon, dry ginger, the black pepper. So
Okay.
this is the combination of these herbs and
Mhm.
the dried grapes, the black
Mhm.
grapes.
Mhm.
So this is the combination of that, and you have to make a decoction of this.
Mhm.
This is one thing. The second thing what we advise is the Chyawanprash. Chyawanprash is an Ayurvedic jam-like formulation, and which
Uh-huh.
is commonly used to improve the immunity. This is the second thing. The third thing we advise is the installation of an medicated Ayurvedic oil called as Anutel in
Mhm.
both the nostrils, and this
Mhm.
is to be applied in the nostrils whenever you go outside, minimum 4 to 5 times a day, simply like you apply Vicks or something with your fingertips. So
Okay.
accordingly, you have to apply in the nostrils. And the fourth is the golden milk, that is the milk with turmeric. So that is
Mhm.
to be taken. So this is the combination. Now, this combination is based on the concept of Vedic Shamatava, which I mentioned at the beginning.
Yeah.
The concepts of the fundamental principles which are mentioned in Ayurveda. At the
Mhm.
same time, it is also based on the scientific research which is already published in various top-notch journals
Mhm.
regarding the various medicinal plants. So, for example, Avla is the best immunomodulator, and there is a lot of research which is available on Avla, and the various modes of action. How does it actually act on the body? So that is there, and these researchers, they are not only are done and published from India, but they are from Japan, they are from Australia, they are from Western world. So from wherever different sources they are there. Similarly, a lot of research is there on holy basil, lot of research is there on cinnamon, there is a lot of research on the ginger. So these various references, those also we compiled, and the
Okay.
advisory was issued. So this
Uh-huh.
advisory is based on the hardcore scientific papers which are published in top-notch journals. At the same time, on the scientific aspect based on the Ayurveda. So this is the combination of both the things, which is the part of the advisory.
Mhm.
And I would like to mention that, say, for example, Avla, when we talk, because Chyawanprash, so
Mhm.
the basic ingredient of Chyawanprash is Avla.
Mhm.
And the Avla, it works on the telomerase, it works on the chromosomes, it works on the mitochondria.
Mhm.
There's a paper that it improves the mitochondrial respiratory reserve. So that means it minimizes the oxidative stress. So all
Okay.
those kind of researches which are there, so they were taken into consideration, and this advisory was issued. So when this advisory is issued, and then we also promoted it, and we are thankful to the Honorable Prime Minister who actually who appealed to the people to follow this advisory, and along with that, we started not only distribution of the medicines, but we started collecting the hardcore data. And
Mm-hmm.
for developing this hardcore data, we constituted an interdisciplinary task force for the traditional medicine. And this task force incorporates the scientists from the CSIR, scientists from the DST, scientists from the Ayush Ministry, from the biochemistry, microbiology. So this is an interdisciplinary task force, and this task force, they develop the guidelines and the protocol. First of all, we develop a standard protocol, how the protocol should be, and accordingly this protocol was validated with a lot of discussions, and then once actually this protocol was finalized, then all this data now which is being collected, so that is based on this protocol. That is one thing. So we are conducting now around four type of studies on a large scale, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
One of that is the prophylactic study, which is being done on a very large scale. One such kind of study has already been launched, and in this, the effort was done with the cooperation of Delhi Police, because
Okay.
this advisory, when we issued, and the Delhi Police, we had discussion with them, and then we decided that Delhi Police, when they are giving this support as an frontline workers, and they are exposed to the COVID patients, so let us give them this support of this Ayurvedic medicine, the intervention. And at the same time, then we started documenting the effect of that. And this is being done through the All India Institute of Ayurveda, which is at New Delhi under the Ministry of Ayush. The another study which is also being done on the similar lines is at Jaipur through the National Institute of Ayurveda, and there actually we are doing at Jaipur on a very large scale. So like actually 80,000 Delhi police are given. So similarly around some 10,000 people they are there where actually the NI Jaipur is giving the medicines. The third study that we launched is through the Institute of Postgraduate Teaching and Research in Ayurveda. This is another institute of ministry, is at Jamnagar, and this intervention has been done in two places, in Ahmedabad and in Baroda. So we
Okay.
can say that these are the public health interventions that we have done. At the same time, with the Research Council, that is the CCRAS, Central Council for Research in Ayurvedic Sciences, we have also done this kind of intervention studies. The second is the actual clinical trials. So
Mm-hmm.
here the clinical trials, they are launched in collaboration with the CSIR,
Uh-huh.
and in these collaborations, there are four candidates which have been identified by the task force. One is the ashwagandha, another is the mulethi, that is licorice, Glycyrrhiza glabra. Third is the Tinospora cordifolia or the giloy, and the
Mm-hmm.
fourth is one combination called as the Ayush 64. So this Ayush 64 is a research product of the CCRS, the Ministry of Ayush, and this was developed in 1988 for the purpose of malaria. But
Mm-hmm.
in last few years, around 10 years, we found that it is also effective in various viral fevers, whether it's
Okay.
dengue, whether it is something else. So this
Mm-hmm.
is very effective in viral fevers also. And so we thought that this could be effective in this COVID also. So these four candidates that we have identified, and here actually the modus of operandi is that as per the required number of patients, we have given one arm is the hydrochloroquine, which is being given. The another arm is the hydrochloroquine plus ashwagandha, which is given as a prophylactic in 2,000 patients, and they then 2,000 people, or I would say not patients,
Okay.
in red zone. So this is also a very important thing, that those actually areas where the possibility of getting COVID is very high. So that is the red zone. So we have started giving this to red zone people. So
So,
this
which
is
means that this is kind of, I mean, in the recent times, the first time when a very large scale clinical study on
yes,
Indian system of medicine is being
yes.
undertaken, right?
Yes, absolutely. I would like to mention that at the same time, we are also having this clinical trials which are being done with the help of CCRH, Central
Mm.
Council for Research in Homeopathy. And in that, some homeopathic formulations, they are also being given. So on one side, the Ayurveda is being given. On the other side, the Siddha is being also given. The homeopathy is also being given. So each research council is working on the specific their domain, the discipline, and in particular zone. And there is a comparative clinical trial is also going on, where the one person, group is given the conventional medicine, the another group is given Ayurvedic medicine. And with the help of CSIR, we are also trying to, and also with the help of the DBT, to understand the molecular function, that how actually these medicines they are working.
Okay, so which means that this research program currently being undertaken is at clinical level to see whether actually patients get benefited, at research level to see how components,
Yes,
molecules in
yes,
this formulation actually work within our body. So this is
yes.
a kind of a very new initiative, a very massive initiative aimed at, one can say, modernizing the traditional practices, bringing up to the current standards.
Yes, absolutely. So for that purpose, as I mentioned, that we have followed all the research guidelines which are there followed at the international level. So whether it is of appointing an CRO and the data management board and the protocol finalization. So all those kind of things, the registration of the constitution of the ethics committee and getting the approval of the ethics committee. So all this GCP guidelines, all these things, so they have been followed
So
very
before
meticulously.
that this research is on, when do we expect the results to pour in?
Few of the studies they have started. We have almost complete now 3 weeks for that. The treatment span is for 2 months. So I believe that another 2 to 3 months, depending upon when actually we started the trials, so it will take to get the results. But I would say that the prima facie results what we are getting. So definitely I would say that these medicines they are very much helpful. In this context, I would like to mention in reference to my earlier comment or related to Vedic Shamatva that
Mhm.
it is important that it is not only important that whether you become COVID positive or not. It is
Mhm.
also important that whether you develop the symptoms or not,
Mhm.
because there could be a virus which actually might have gone into your body, but unless and until your tissue they succumb to the toxins of the virus, you will not develop the symptoms.
Yeah.
And because of that, there is a high number of people, those who are asymptomatic. There are no symptoms, and in due course of time, they become COVID negative also. So body
Yeah.
takes care, and then you are not felt sick. The second aspect is the manifestation of the disease is of very low intensity. And
Okay.
because of that, the death rate in India is almost half compared to the entire world. So
Mhm.
since the entire this trial it is and this intervention is not being done only by the Minister of Ayush, but all the state government they have also come in board. We have taken the state governments and the state governments and the local bodies. They are also providing these medicines to the community on a very large scale.
Okay.
And the fourth arm of the study that we have launched is that this particular arm, where the medicines are being provided by the local bodies and state governments and NGOs, how to get the data of those people. So we developed an app called as Ayush Sanjeevani. Now, Ayush
Okay.
Sanjeevani is an app, and this has been launched, and we are collecting the data of the people, those who are actually utilizing this advisory and how they are benefited out of that. And we are targeting to get the data of 50 lakh people throughout the country. So this is probably the largest cohort study we can say in the world.
That's a very interesting point, that how the Ayush Ministry has taken this challenge into an opportunity, and examining the drugs which have been in practice for some time, to validate them, put it into 21st century context, make the traditional system into a evidence-based system for the contemporary times. Thank you for being with us in the show. It's been a very wonderful, very illuminating conversation with you. Thank you for being in the show. Keep watching Eureka. We'll come back with another conversation next week, same time.